Okay, when you come in the cabin, Kara's got a bunch of instructions on the back side of the door on what to do when you come. We're going to leave the water heaters and the water pump and the UV on, but I'll show you where those are at. Under the kitchen sink is a water heater that we'll leave on as well. Still unlock the master bedroom window just in case there's a fire or something, there's an escape there. And then there's other items here. Probably the most important one is the refilling of the water, but we'll kind of walk through that outside. To the left of the front door, is where all the water stuff is. We're going to leave this UV thing on. It's currently blinking red. The UV is working, right? And if you hear a beeping noise, just press that button. It just gives it a 7-day bypass on the alarm. We've got a new UV filter coming, but I've already checked it. It's all functioning just fine. But if there is a beeping, just press that black button right there. Normally when you come in, we have the UV off, the water heaters off, and the pump off, and they're marked here. But we'll leave those all on for you, so you shouldn't have any issues there with any of it. The back lights, back porch lights, it's the one marked here. It has a red thing that turns on the little globe lights on the back porch. So we turn that off at night, use that kind of as a switch. You can hear the UV beeping, so you just press that button and it kicks it off for a week. Okay, under the kitchen sink is the water heater for the kitchen sink. It's in the on position. We'll leave it in the on position. If for whatever reason you got to turn it off, it's just right there. In the kitchen, sometimes when we're cooking breakfast and we have a lot of waffle irons or whatever going on the island, it'll trip the breaker, especially if you use the microwave at the same time. Just come in and look. I don't remember which outlet it is, but it's probably one of these in here. It'll just trip and flick off partly. Just flick it back on and try to plug something into a different socket. Okay, so the water tank underground is full. It's got 500 gallons in it, and we left the tank on the trailer full, so there's another 300 or so gallons in there. If you need to go get water, right, you can hook up to the trailer. It takes a 2-inch ball, right? You got your jack. There's a single chain to it. There's no brake lights. It's just an old trailer, and you're just going down the road a few miles. So if you need water, and there's a stick, a wooden rod in the closet that's marked with 100 gallons, 200 gallons, 300 gallons, and so forth. All you do is you take this off and you move that stick down in. Even if you drop it, it's not going to go all the way in, and you lift it out and you can see how much water you have in the tank. If you need water, you need to fill it from here. You're going to take this white hose and it has a cap on it. Hold the hose and the cap above the level of the tank and pop that cap off. Sometimes you'll get water coming out of there. Oh, just like that. Okay? And then you're just going to drop this down into the metal tube there. And that's all set. I've got the valve set where it should be right there on the back side of the tank. It should just run in. If it explodes water out, that either means it's full or the valve's on too high. The valve shouldn't be on too high, so you shouldn't have a problem there. But it'll just sit there and fill until that tank is full. When it overflows, then just pull the hose out, lift it up above the tank, squish the cap on, swing the hose back into the trailer so the front of it's up front like that, and then screw this vent back on. Sometimes it's hard to get it aligned. Okay. There you go. And it doesn't have to be super tight, just turn it on a couple times. So that's how the water system works. When you go down to fill up the tank, you drive down the dirt road, Birch Creek, and you're going to go through the stop sign at the bottom of the hill, and then you're going to go about another 40 yards, 30 yards, and the fill station is there. It's a pipe that comes out of the ground, and it's got a fire hose on it. You unhook the fire hose from the fill station. You pull this black cap off, and you drop the hose in here, and then you turn the valve on the fill station, and that will fill this all the way up. Okay, once it's full, turn off the valve, put the fire hose back onto the fill station, and then make sure that you put the black cap back on, because I've driven away without the black cap. I forgot to mention that while you're filling this tank underground, take the black cap and just unscrew it so it's loose. That way it just doesn't pull a vacuum and crush the tank. So then you're going to drive it back up here and back it in next to the tree. It doesn't have to be quite this far back, but just back it up. Can't hurt the trailer. It's old, beat up trailer, and then start your filling again. Okay, you guys mentioned doing a service project. What we have are a bunch of branches and logs up on the road. It's Saturday right now. Monday, Tuesday, or early Wednesday, they're supposed to come up. The Forest Service is going to come up and turn that into bark mulch. We use the bark mulch on all our paths and everything. So we've got wheelbarrows. I'm not sure the black one works real good, but the blue one and the orange one work. I've got shovels and rakes and tooth rakes that you can use. When they chip it, they will leave the bark mulch up by the road, and I'll show you where to grab it from. You can fill up the wheelbarrows, wheel them down. I've got 5-gallon buckets and a couple of 5-gallon buckets I'll set out right here as well that you can fill up, and then we'll go look at the paths and things like that. Okay, so you can spread mulch here on the back side of the cabin, not where the gravel is, but where the mulch is. Just a little bit in there, and then you can spread a couple inches along these paths. And then outside of the pavilion here, could use some. It's getting pretty thin. Anywhere you see dirt and everything, you can spread mulch and thicken it up. We could put some more here in the pavilion area, especially underneath the swings. Here where it gets really thin, where we kind of see the dirt. And then on the lower property, you can on the lower property, there are paths through the woods, and you can see that the mulch is kind of mushed down in. We can just put mulch down on these paths through here. And through the path that leads from the rock stairs up to the deck that is broken. And that should be it. Don't feel any pressure to do any of it. We're good to do it at a later date. Okay, so from the pavilion just up to the road, you can see the big pile of branches that's up there. That's what they're going to turn into mulch, and they usually just pile it right here in the woods, right here. So if you need to bring the wheelbarrows in, you can bring them up this path here or just around, and then up through the woods. Don't worry about trampling anything. Everything's good. It all grows back. But that's probably your easiest way in and out of there with the wheelbarrow of mulch. For the tiny house, the water pump is underneath this tote. We're going to leave it on so everything's up and running. The valve is open on the water tank underneath here. If you need to fill it up, just take off this tarp and unscrew the black cap. Do the same thing with the trailer. just pull the trailer down, kind of leave it uphill a little bit, but close enough that you can take the filling hose and drop it into here, fill up the tank, and then put the black cap back on when you're done. Make sure the black cap's back on. And then we just cover this up with this tarp and put this bungee around it. That way it keeps the sun off of it, right? Keeps algae from growing in there. But it is fresh spring water from the wells down the road, so it is all drinkable. Okay, the four-wheelers. I was going to leave you with the two red four-wheelers that have the automatic transmission. One of them has died, so the one that's good is the Prairie 300, the Kawasaki Prairie 300. Okay, so you have the key ignition, turn it on. You should have a green light if you have it in neutral. If it's in reverse, it's going to be red. If it's in drive, shake it a little bit, then it just won't show anything. So with it in neutral, with the green light on, you can come over here to the red switch and turn it into the engine run. Okay, and then you press the green start button. The choke, because it's so warm, should be pushed all the way towards the front, right? Not towards the back, or it'll end up dying or something. So you just keep it up to the front. Okay, so if it does try to die on you, like when you press the accelerator here, and it seems like it's gonna die, just press it really slowly until it revs up. Once it revs up, then it's fine. After that, it seems to be okay, right? But you got a foot brake at the bottom, and you have two hand brakes, right? When you're putting it into drive, make sure your foot brake is on, and just push it forward. You don't have to press the button. Like the sign there says no button. You can push it into the high drive. To push it back into neutral, no buttons needed. And then to put it in reverse, you press the button and click it back. That'll turn on the red light here so that you can go in reverse. Okay, press the button, move it forward to neutral, and then into high, and then you can drive. Okay, it'll automatically change gears and drive. Okay, unfortunately the other red four-wheeler, it'll run if you jump start it, but then it won't stay running and it dies on the mountain. We've gotten stuck up on the mountain a few times with it. So the Bayou is a good one. It's really a single person rig, even though it's got a little pad back here. It's really short wheel-based in both directions and gets a little tippy. So let's make sure that we're careful while using it. The key is over here, turn into the on position. If it's in neutral, it's green, right? This four-wheeler is like a motorcycle, like an off-road motorcycle. It has, you don't have to deal with a clutch, but you have to shift the gears down here with your foot, okay? So if the light isn't on and your key is on, you got to have that green light to start it. Press down, and you may have to press a few times until the green light comes on. Once the green light comes on and the ignition is in the run state right here, which is to the right, then you should be able to start it right here, right? But we're having a battery issue. And so we have a pull start down here. You pull and it'll start. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 pulls, okay? So once you're running and you want to go forward, make sure your foot brake is on, make sure your hand brakes are on, then you can pull up and that puts it in first gear. And as you drive, the engine's going to rev real high, and that's where you need to put it up again to put it in second gear and third gear and so forth. When you're coming down hills, or when you want to come to a stop, you got to push it down to shift down, and then push it down again, puts me down in neutral. Okay? So up puts me in gear and allows me to drive. Second gear as I'm rolling, right, will allow me to drive faster, and third gear and so forth. Make sure you're downshifting when you're coming down the hills. If you're using the ATVs, we got to be super careful because of liability, right? They are dangerous. We had our young women's group over, and one of the girls rolled one over. Luckily, it just rolled onto her leg, and it wasn't on the exhaust manifold or anything like that, so it wasn't hot and didn't burn her, didn't hurt her. But be super careful. There's no room for error in fooling around. Helmets for everybody riding ATVs, right? There's plenty of helmets here. There's different sizes in the bags and down here. That's a requirement. Got to have a helmet on while using the ATVs. Your throwing axes for the axe throwing wall will be right here next to the helmets. They'll be right here. The axe throwing walls, there's two of them. There's the one that's well used and the one that our kids just redid here. Don't worry about, the axes are gonna dig into it, and that's the nature of the beast. We replace them all the time. Make sure that no one is standing between the thrower and the axe wall, right? Got to hold that safety line. Make sure everybody's behind them so that nobody's crossing in front of them, because they are sharp and they can do damage and hurt people. Okay, in the garage, to get the UTV out, there's the roller bar down here. I kind of just step on it and then I pull the lock back and then lift the garage. Close it up at night, right? Push it all the way down, press on it, and push that all the way in. I've got a blue electrical cord going outside to the second red four-wheeler. We think we've got it running. I think the battery is just struggling, so we'll go outside and show you how to just unplug the charger. Okay, so I have just a battery tender, just a trickle charger that's plugged into that blue cord that comes out of the garage. I'm just putting that there and underneath it, and then this is the connection. It's just pull it out and you can just leave it on the ground. Okay, when you plug it back in, just make sure it's pushed in tight. When you park it for the night, just trying to tuck that in underneath. Make sure that when you drive it away, that you pull it out of the way so you're not driving over it. This one runs the exact same as the other red one. Okay, so the Terex UTV is going to be in the garage, right? Can't have kids driving this. It's an adult-only thing. Get in, put your seatbelts on. You have to have the seatbelts on or the engine will cut out, right? It's a safety feature in the vehicle. You can click it onto the on position, but you have to have your foot on the brake and have it in neutral before it will start, okay? Let it warm up for a couple minutes before driving it the first time of the day to make sure that the engine's warm. Okay, there's a parking brake right here. That has to be released and down, or else the engine won't run. It'll buck and kick. Again, the belts have to be on. Everybody that's sitting. I think that's really just front seat. The two front seats have to be clipped if there's someone in them. Otherwise, it won't work. I've got it in four-wheel drive, and you can leave it in four-wheel drive without any issues. There's lights here. I just leave them on high all the time because it doesn't hurt anybody. Try not to go too fast in it. It does have a speed governor on it that keeps it at 50 miles per hour or below. But on these dirt roads, it can get real loose, and so the speed limits on our roads around here are 15 or 20 miles per hour. So try to keep it to that speed for the safety of everybody involved. There are 4 seats in this UTV. We often have someone sit in the middle, in the back, but again, there's no seat belts or anything for that.